We have more on all of this with Jonathan Sacerdoti, the royal expert a lot of things. But, you know, Jonathan, this visit and canceling it comes as no surprise. But I think this is going to keep playing out. I mean, there's going to be a reluctance on the part of people to vacation in France. Maybe a lot of Londoners who like to go to France. This is spilling over. What do you think?
Well, this was King Charles's first visit abroad since he became king, and he was going to France. That was carefully chosen. It's been cancelled as a result of those protests and the unrest there. And now his first trip's going to be to Germany, which he was going to do immediately after France. He was going to be there from Sunday to Wednesday. And as you say, I think that unrest there and the cancellation of this royal trip, it's really the least of their worries. I think it's symptomatic of what's going on in France. There's just this sense that Emmanuel Macron has really lost grip of how things are going there. We're on to 7 or more consecutive days of these protests and walkouts. We've had 9 or 10 days now of the street riots going on as well. There's trash piled high on the pavements. All of this because he pushed through this change of retirement age from 62 to 64 and did so by bypassing the parliamentary vote, all because he thought he might not win the vote. It's difficult, and this isn't the first time that he's tried to fix France's complicated pension system either, as you alluded to. In his first term, he abandoned a bigger effort to do so after protests on the streets back then, and that was before COVID. This time, he isn't trying to merge the country's 42 separate pension schemes, but he is shifting the retirement age to get people to work for an extra 2 years. And I think the unrest that's ensued is just showing that despite what he thought, he's not as in control as he'd like to be.
If the same thing were tried in Britain, now I understand, Jonathan, that France's entitlement-related costs, that's an oversimplification, are much higher than any of the other Western European nations, significantly even higher as a percentage than in our country, where we have lots of problems. In England, how are they?
Well, here it's a very different system, and I think that's one of the things that's been a problem for Macron, is that this is an ongoing problem for France, something that he thought he could fix. And the fact that now he's not necessarily looking for re-election means that perhaps he believed he could take tougher decisions. But that speech that he gave just a few days ago on TV this week, and it really was very determined. He wasn't going to back down. I think if you were to compare it to the UK, maybe could almost be his Liz Truss moment. Remember, we had that prime minister who lasted a very brief amount of time because she tried to make such big changes in such a short time, not to pensions, but it spooked the markets. And Macron, again, may find that this spooks the markets. This could have a negative effect financially for France, probably the opposite of what he thought would happen. But with the walkouts and with all the problems and the disruption, it seems maybe it was a step too far. But he's refusing to back down. In fact, he talked about not allowing the same level of unrest to happen as the storming of the Capitol in the US, alluding to that. And I think that this sort of thing has really annoyed people in France. It's annoyed workers. There's now this call for the national strikes. There's going to be more problems like this, I think, going ahead from him.
We'll watch it closely. Jonathan, thank you for explaining all of that. We'll see what happens next.